Every one of us is tasked with bringing the world to perfection. This week's Parsha reveals a secret to help us do just that. So often I focus these videos on something found early in the Parsha. This week, let's jump to the very end. We read in the final verses of Parashah Shalach, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the generations. Let them attach a cord of techelet to the fringe at each corner." Not only do we read this verse as part of this week's Parsha, but so important is this mitzvah that we recite this verse multiple times a day, every day, as part of the daily Shema. The mitzvah of tzitzit is deeply meaningful to me, but to explain why, we need a little history. The verse in the Torah is very clear on how we keep this particular mitzvah. Attach fringes, tzitzit, to the corners of our garments with one of the tzitzit strings dyed with techelet, a special bluish-purple pigment. And this is indeed how the mitzvah was kept for a long time. From the time of the giving of the Torah until the details of how to make this special techelet dye was lost to history around 1300 years ago. Since then, Jews continue to wear tzitzit, but with only white strings, not able to fulfill the mitzvah in its most complete form. The mitzvah remained alive, but figuratively and literally lost its color, its depth. But in our generation, a combination of halachic, scientific, and archaeological discoveries in the land of Israel has led to the rediscovery of how to make biblical techelet, and we once again are able to fulfill this important mitzvah in its most complete way. Many, including myself, have jumped at the opportunity to reclaim this mitzvah and proudly wear techelet. This readoption is not yet universal across the Jewish world. Changes in tradition, even if those changes are to reclaim a mitzvah, take time. But every year, more and more Jews from every corner of the Jewish world reclaim this mitzvah. My heart swells every time I see someone beginning to wear techelet. So we have a core idea that our ancestors kept from the time of the giving of the Torah for thousands of years. Sometime after we were exiled from our land, we lost the ability to fully keep the mitzvah, but we kept it alive as best we could. And then 1300 years later, that spark we kept alive reignited, and we were once again able to fulfill the mitzvah as our ancestors did in ancient time. Is that not the very story of Judaism itself, of the Jewish people, of the nation of Israel? This mitzvah is deeply meaningful to me because it's a microcosm of Judaism and of Jewish identity. The rediscovery of techelet, the reinstituting of an ancient part of our Jewish identity, is an inspiration to me and captures so many wonders of my Jewish experience. Adding the brilliant color of techelet back into our white tzitzit speaks to the vibrancy I see in my Judaism. Being able to put the techelet back into our tzitzit, literally and figuratively, is indicative of bringing that vibrancy, that color, back into our lives, back into our Judaism. I grew up in a very Jewish, albeit not very religious home. But I suspect if my great-great-great-grandfather would have seen that home, it would have been a type of Jewish home he wouldn't have recognized. We had the tzitzit, but we were missing the techelet. My journey as a Baal Tshuva has allowed me to put the techelet back into my tzitzit. Israel is where we were able to fully live our Judaism. When we were exiled, we had to adapt and keep the mitzvahs as best we could, longing for the day when we would be able to return to our homeland and fully live Judaism once again. We had the tzitzit, but we were missing the techelet. In our generation, we have the privilege to reclaim our homeland and once again be able to fully live Judaism. Israel enabled us to put the techelet back into our tzitzit. Every Jew for the last 2,000 years, even the most secular, had that Jewish spark burning in their soul, that pintele yid. They might not have recognized it or known it was there, but it was, waiting to be reignited. The tzitzit were there, but without the techelet, they were easy to miss. The aftermath of October 7th reignited that spark in so many, and so many are re-examining their Judaism in a way they never have before. It's up to every one of us to make sure the Judaism they see is rich and vibrant and full of beautiful techelet. It's time for every one of us to add Techelet back to our tzitzit, back to our Judaism, literally and figuratively. It's time for every one of us to reclaim our heritage. That's one thing we can learn from this week's Parsha. How will you step up this week to bring the world a little closer to perfection? Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisroel Chai.